I've been in business my entire adult life, since I was about 15, 16, and there's been one thing that's kind of present throughout the entire life of my businesses, and that is problems. Problems in some degree or another. This week, my team were due to give a presentation presenting what we've been worked on for the last 3 months, and as always seems to happen, there's always problems crop up, and it's a bit of a putting out fires type situation. And in another business this morning, we've got all these different problems that we have to all solve as quickly as possible. Problems are kind of central to business. They're always going to be there. I cannot possibly see a time where I'm going to be in a business and it's like, yep, everything is perfect, things are great. Because life continues to go on and business keeps evolving, there's always things that come up and they need to be sorted. In this video, I want to talk about my framework about how I deal with problems in business and how I try and stay sane through all of it. If you're new here, my name is Matthew, and my goal is to spark you to think differently so you can create new possibilities for yourself in your life. There was a business I was running a few years ago. It was an electrical business and we did home repairs for rental properties mainly. And this business was uncharacteristically full of problems. I cannot tell you how many problems we had because every job, some of them were normal, like change a fan or fix a light bulb or something. And a lot of them were bespoke issues with old out-of-date appliances and we had to source parts, or issues where we have to negotiate with government regulations or problems with other service providers. And basically each job required this specialized problem-solving approach. And I remember one morning I was sitting there at my computer and there was like 30 to 50 problems, like each of them requiring serious amount of effort and thinking and deliberate persistence to get through. And it's just demotivating. The first thing about having problems is just seeing so many. It's just really demotivating. That doesn't mean that we should give up. It doesn't mean that we should sort of succumb to that. But we should be present to that and acknowledge that, yeah, this is a tough time. It's not easy. And we're going to get through this together. And this advice that I'm going to give you is the same advice that I have given myself and still do give myself, because it's easy to forget when I'm in the midst of a really stressful situation and there's seems like countless problems that I need to be solving. The first thing that I think is most important is to not take it all on personally. That's something I just do by default. I want to take it all on and I want to feel personally responsible for all the issues that are going on. And even if some of them are my issues, being taking them on personally and kind of carrying them around in my psyche whenever I'm not actually working on them isn't healthy for me, doesn't really help the business, and certainly doesn't help move the problems forward anymore. The second thing is to be really systematic with solving of the problems. It's a case of I put out a big list and just start working through the list, item by item by item. Yeah, it's not fun, it's tough. And yet it's much more productive to be really systematic with approaching problems rather than just trying to deal with them all at the same time. I think knowing what is the priority, what is the biggest issue we need to solve now, let's deal with this one first, then move on to the second one, then the third, and so on, is the best way to solve problems. It's much better to have one issue sorted than to have 5 issues half sorted, because until it's actually gone, it's still going to remain on the list, on your psyche, and as part of the business. The next piece of advice is around decision making. And my advice is really, once you have made a decision, stick with the decision and move on. Coming back and revisiting the same solution and the same problem over and over and over again to just try and convince yourself that it's the right thing to do doesn't really help. You just need to make a decision, move on, and you can change it if it's really bad down the track, but just move on. Keep moving is one of the most important things for me. Otherwise, it just kind of compounds and I never really get anywhere. I also really like to have dedicated time. So I normally block out 5-6 hours to try and solve as many of the issues as I can and really stay as dedicated as I can to solving issue, implementing solution, solving issue, implementing solution. Of course, maybe I only get through one in that whole time, but at least I can tick off one thing. When there's so many problems in a business, it can be really easy to make tiny bits of progress on all 20 things if you don't have dedicated time. So by having dedicated time, you're more likely to actually move through the problems, get things resolved, and move on with your life. And finally, I think this is probably one of the best points, which is be compassionate with yourself. Be compassionate because you're doing the best that you can right now. Your team are doing the best they can right now. Be kind, give yourself a break. Let yourself know that it's okay, things are going to be fine. Go and give someone a hug, go and give a tree a hug, whatever you need to do. Just be reassured that you are doing the best that you can. And there's always room for improvement. If this has been helpful and you'd like to hear more from me, there's an email newsletter that I send out every Sunday. It has ideas and inspirations from my week. And until next time, the journey continues.